All right, you guys, it is Monday evening and I left my last week 3 video off with this mystery dough for our butternut squash gnocchi that had to sit overnight. So here it is. It's definitely firmed up. It's a lot less sticky, so I would say that was definitely a good call. But now we finally get to finish our butternut squash gnocchi. So I'm gonna get these rolled out and then we're gonna let it sit for another hour or so outside so it can cool down, and then we'll get everything made for dinner. Alrighty, so I just floured my surface and now I'm gonna cut this into 8s. And then with our hands, we're gonna roll this out into like a snake. And then we're just going to cut it into little pieces. All right, we were able to get 2 trays worth, so I'm putting these in the fridge for about an hour and then we will get them cooked. All right, so at this point in the day, Sam had just gotten back, so we were just catching up and chit-chatting. So all I'm doing here is just melting 1 stick of butter. I used Kerrygold high-quality butter.
Can I help you with anything?
No. And I just had to keep that clip in because even though you don't see Sam in all of my videos, he is always around, so supportive, and I just appreciate him so much. But to the butter, I did dice up 1 shallot pretty finely. What's exciting about this shallot is it's actually out of the garden as well, and so it's fun to have butternut squash gnocchi along with a shallot, all from the garden in this one meal. So what I'm doing here is just putting the gnocchi in boiling water. This is salted water, and you want to just put them in one at a time so that they don't stick together. These gnocchis did come straight out of the refrigerator, so they were relatively cooled. And then all I'm doing is just letting them boil in that water for about 3 to 5 minutes. You know when they're done when they float, and when you poke them with your finger, they should be relatively dense. So definitely be careful when you're poking them with your finger because they will be very hot. But as soon as they are finished cooking, you'll just grab a slotted spoon, take them out of the boiling water, and just put them on a plate. They will no longer stick together at that point. And then with the butter, we are just making a browned butter sage sauce. So you can just see that I am just making sure that the butter is browned, definitely not burned, but you can see those brown bits at the bottom. And then I just go ahead and take that off the heat as soon as it's done. Then you can see here, I'm just removing the gnocchi and putting it on that plate. Then ideally, to finish off the sage browned butter, you're going to want to put fresh sage leaves, but because this is a pantry challenge, we're working with what we have, so I just used dried sage. If you have fresh, you'll just throw your leaves in, and as soon as they start to crispen up, you'll know that they are ready to remove from the butter. So here I just did about a 1/4 or so teaspoon of just ground up sage, and it actually turned out perfectly. It was super, super yummy in this. And after the fact, I actually put in red pepper flakes just after we had dished them, so I would highly recommend you add in a couple red pepper flakes here as well. And you can see that super yummy brown butter sauce, so all I'm doing is just putting our cooked gnocchi into the sauce, stirring it around, getting everything reheated and nice and browned, and then we're going to serve it up. And to serve it, I just used a slotted spoon just so I could get most of the butter off of it. Serve that up, and then I did reheat our maple elk sausage separately, so just topped this off with it. I didn't want to combine it all because I thought it might taste weird if we had the elk soaking in that browned butter sauce, and it actually turned out really, really yummy this way, so I honestly think I would probably do it again this way next time. Then we just added a little bit of shredded Parmesan cheese. Like I said, I did put some red pepper flakes on after the fact, and that was it. This was so yummy. We really enjoyed it, and I would highly recommend you make this one. Hey friends, it is Tuesday afternoon and early evening, and I'm getting started on dinner. So we have a few things that are kind of in motion tonight, so I don't really know what our plan is. So I wanted to make something that was really easy. We can reheat it later if needed, or we can eat it right away. So I am going to just quickly throw together some chili. I defrosted some elk in the refrigerator, and then I just pulled out some of the onions that we processed up together. These are garden onions from our 2022 garden, so that is super exciting. And I'm just gonna throw in a couple vegetables and get this made up. So let's go ahead and get our chili made. All right, I just put a little bit of oil down and I'm gonna heat that up. And then I'm gonna get my onions cut open. So since these onions were previously frozen, I'm just going to give them a quick little cook before we throw in the meat. Now that the meat is all browned, I went ahead and just added about 2 tablespoons of chili powder. I find that if you cook your meat and then add your seasonings to the meat and fry it up just a little bit with the meat, the flavor of the spice comes through a lot more and you have to add a lot less. So here you'll just see me adding chili powder, about 1/4 teaspoon or so of the Pantry's roasted garlic. This is really strong, so if you're just using regular garlic powder, I would probably double it, but I love this Pantry's roasted garlic spice. And then I go ahead and just let that cook down or cook in for about a minute or so, and make sure you don't overcook it because a burnt spice is never a good flavor. So cook it for about a minute or so, and then we will add in some liquids. So here I am just adding in 2 cans of diced tomatoes. These are just the tomatoes, I think they're organic from Costco. So I'm just dumping both of those in to add some liquid to the meat to just stop everything from browning any further. And then I'm just going to give that a quick mix in. I really like these tomatoes. They're definitely not garden tomatoes, but if you are looking for some or you're out of your garden tomatoes for the year, this is one that I would definitely go forward with. You can see Sam is standing here cleaning up after me and cleaning up my messes. Super sweet of him, and I always appreciate his help in the kitchen. Then earlier in the day, I did just use the pressure cooker, the electric pressure cooker, and I cooked up some dried beans. So these are just pinto beans, I believe. And then I also did some cannellini beans and I believe a can of red beans. So we'll get those all added in as well. I don't really worry about draining the juice from it or the water. I think that adds nice flavor and just kind of helps make the chili a little less thick since there is so much meat and tomatoes in it. I added in some poblano, topped it off with sour cream cheese, a jalapeno, and a cornbread muffin, and it was absolutely delicious. Hey friends, and welcome back. It is Thursday evening, and I'm getting started on dinner. We've been eating some of that really yummy chili with our cornbread muffins, and it's been really good, but I'm excited for something a little bit easy and different tonight. So we are going to do homemade pizzas. I have some basil that's been sitting in my windowsill. You've probably seen it in the back of a lot of videos. And so it inspired me to make a margarita pizza, and maybe we'll do another one. But I'm super excited for it. So let's go ahead and get our pizza crust made. It needs to rise for about 30 minutes or so. It's still a little bit early, so we won't start making dinner now, but that way when Sam gets home tonight, it will be all ready to go. All right, so first thing we're gonna do is add in 1 cup of, this is bread flour. You could definitely use all-purpose as well. I just think bread flour makes it a little bit crispier. Then here I have 1.5 teaspoons of sugar, mixed with 3/4 teaspoons of salt, so that's gonna go in. And then I need to grab some yeast. I keep my yeast in the freezer, which keeps it good for a really long time. So we need 1 packet worth, which is equivalent to 2¼ teaspoons of yeast. So let me get the quarter so I don't forget it. And I'm not sure I'm gonna have enough, so I do think I have more in my pantry though. All right, there's 1. think we're gonna be, once I get what's left of this, I think we're gonna be pretty close, so. I'm just gonna call that good. I'll probably regret that in a couple hours, but we'll see. And then actually I'm gonna throw in just a little bit of roasted garlic as well. And some of my freeze-dried basil. I have this linked down below if you're curious. I'm loving these freeze-dried herbs. They are so good. But let's give that a quick mix. Then I have here 3/4 of a cup of warm water, and then I just need 2 tablespoons of olive oil. This is all the olive oil I have left in my house, so I'm using it sparingly, but I felt like on pizza we had to have olive oil. Perfect. Now we're gonna give that a really good mix. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So I'm gonna scrape the edges down and the bottom. And then I'm going to gradually stir in 1 more cup of the bread flour. All right, that looks good. It's still a little sticky, but that's perfect. That's just what we want. So I am going to call that good. Oh, it smells so good. So I just have a really large bowl here. So I'm going to spray it with some olive oil and then throw our dough in. And you kind of want to just rub it around the bowl and get all of the sides coated. And then I'm just going to throw a clean kitchen towel over it and then stick this in the oven with the light on. Here is our dough. Doesn't that look awesome? I'm super excited about it. So what I like to do for rolling out my dough is you can definitely flour, but I prefer to just use a little cooking spray on my hands and my board. I just find that works much better, and we're gonna make 2 pizzas out of this. So all I'm gonna do is just get it nice and combined. And then I'm just gonna cut it into 2. And then shape it. My pizzas, a round pizza has never been one of my skills. So we just accept the pizza for however it turns out. So I'm just going to get this all rolled out, and then we'll get our toppings on. And you can definitely dust this with flour. Like I said, I don't love like a really floury pizza dough, so. I prefer to just oil mine. So to get a crispy crust at home, we like to heat up our cookie sheet, put some cornmeal down, and then put our crust down. Then Sam was making his. He put marinara, shredded mozzarella, our leftover maple sausage, that elk sausage, bacon, jalapenos, some flat mozzarella that we had in the freezer. So that's what you can see him breaking up here.
Oh yeah.
Hey friends, and welcome back. It is Saturday evening and we've had a huge snowstorm, so I want to make something that is super homey and cozy for dinner and also super quick. I've been in the kitchen making some fun snacks today, so I'm ready to kind of do something easy and be done. So for dinner tonight we are going to have a horseradish pot roast. If you don't like horseradish or spicy foods like that, I will say this is not spicy at all. When you cook the horseradish, it completely goes away. So I'm super excited to show you this one. It's one of our absolute favorite recipes when it comes to a pot roast. We actually, over Christmas, did a side-by-side comparison with my family to see who liked the regular pot roast versus the horseradish pot roast, and the horseradish pot roast won hands down across the board. So we are going to get going on that today. All right, I'm just gonna prep the veggies, and for this we just need, right now, onions and carrots, and then later if you want you can add mushrooms to it as well. So I'm just gonna get my carrots peeled. I like to have them in longer pieces. I just feel like, especially when I'm making something in the Instant Pot, I feel like it breaks down a little bit less. So you get more of that carrot flavor, so we're gonna do that. I'm gonna leave these pretty large too. All right, perfect. Our veg is ready. Now let's go get our meat prepped. All right, here is our roast. I'm just gonna cut that open, pull our meat out. Whoa. And then I do like to just dry it off a little bit with a paper towel. I just find that helps the salt stick a little bit better. Wash my hands. And then I'm just going to generously salt all of the roast on all sides. All right, that is browned. I'm just gonna throw in a little bit of wine. Maybe like a quarter cup. About the same amount of Worcestershire sauce. About a cup of water. And 2 bouillon cubes. If you have beef broth, I would use that, but I don't. So 1, 2. I'm gonna dump in 1 can of tomatoes. Four cloves of garlic. Our veg that we chopped up earlier. About a half a jar or so of prepared horseradish. And this isn't the creamy stuff. This is the actual like root stuff. It's not the creamy. Perfect. That's it. We're gonna throw the lid on, turn it to pressure. I don't know about you guys, but I hate when I open up the pressure cooker and the steam goes everywhere. So I like to just put a towel over it just to kind of contain all of that steam. So after the 60 minutes was over, I would recommend probably letting it natural release. I was in a hurry, so I just quick released it, took out the roast, cut that up, and then I just mixed equal parts cornstarch and water, mix that in, let this mixture or let the sauce boil for about 3 minutes, and then that just thickened it up and we were ready to eat. We weren't feeling potatoes, so I just made some noodles and we put this over that and it was absolutely delicious. Hey friends, and welcome back. It is Sunday and it is snow day 2. We are going to watch some of the football games today, so I thought it would be a really fun day to just kind of hang out, make some fun snacks for the football games, and then if we get hungry later, we can always eat leftovers. We have plenty of roast left over from yesterday, so today I'm going to make jalapeno poppers, bacon wrapped dates, and some walleye dip. So for the jalapeno poppers, we are just using the frozen jalapeno poppers that we had made previously, and then I'm going to wrap them up in some bacon, and then we're going to whip together the bacon wrap dates really quickly as well. So let's get going on that. We're going to put them on the same tray, cook them together. It's going to be super easy and not very many dishes. So here is our jalapeno poppers. I just pulled these out of the freezer, so they're still totally frozen. And I'm just going to lay some out on the cookie sheet. I'm gonna wrap these in bacon in a minute, but I just wanna get all of like the raw ingredients out. That way we're not cross-contaminating anything. So I think I'm gonna do about 10 of these maybe. And this is the beauty, they're so easy. You can whip these together so quickly and they're already done. And these are our garden jalapenos. So super yummy, super fresh, and so easy. Then for our bacon wrapped dates, I'm just have some dates here left over from our bowls that we were making. And Sam doesn't really like these. It's pretty much just me. So all I'm gonna do here is cut some dates in half. If they're not pitted, you're gonna wanna pit them. And bacon wrapped dates do refrigerate really well and reheat just in the microwave, so don't be afraid to make too many. And then I just have some crumbled goat cheese left over. And I'm just going to sprinkle some of this into the dates. I kind of push it hard since it's a pretty soft cheese. You can kind of mold it in there. Put as much or as little as you want. Okay, so there's our dates. I'm just gonna move them over here for the time being. And then I'm just gonna get my toothpicks laid out. I have 20 things in total, so I need 20 toothpicks. I like to do this before I get my hands gross. And what I like to do is I prefer to cut these bacon strips in half. So I'm just gonna grab a little pile. Cut them in half. We can always cut more if we need it. I just find that otherwise it becomes, I know Sam would not agree with me, too much bacon. So I'm just gonna take my date and wrap it and then stick a toothpick through. And you do wanna stick your toothpick through in a way that the date can still sit on the sheet. And I'm gonna use these smaller pieces for the dates and the larger pieces for the poppers. All right, here's these. I'm just gonna put these on a 400-degree oven for like 7 or so minutes or until the bacon is crispy. All right, so for the walleye dip, you're gonna want to put 1 medium onion in a pan and some butter. But because these are our garden onions and they're frozen, I'm gonna let them cook just a little bit and let some of the water come off of them. All right, so our onions are coming along nicely. The water has cooked out of them. So next, I'm adding a little bit of bacon. And then I'm also adding in our walleye. And this is walleye. It's still just a tiny bit frozen, but that's no problem. And this is walleye that we caught this past summer. I'm gonna give that a stir and let this all just kind of cook together for a couple of minutes, and then this will start breaking apart. All right, our fish is starting to brown, so next I'm gonna put in a tablespoon of paprika or so. And 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. We'll let that cook together for just a minute or 2. And then we're throwing in a 1/2 cup of sour cream. Add a stir. Along with a 1/2 block of cream cheese. We'll let that melt in. And then 1 full cup of mayo. Then we're gonna grab 2 tablespoons of jalapeno juice. along with a good amount of jalapenos. I'm just gonna finish this jar. And then finally, about a half a cup of, whoopsie, breadcrumbs. All right, then I just have a prepared baking dish. If you have a cast iron, you could just do this all in one pan. We're gonna spread that around. Get it as even as possible. I'm gonna put a few more breadcrumbs on top. And then into a 350-degree oven until golden. Today. Thank you guys so much for joining me today in the kitchen. I hope you had a great time. I really appreciate you taking your time to come hang out with me. And if you haven't already, please make sure you hit subscribe and we will catch you in the next one. Bye, friend.